Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of their Shell concert and the Get Down in Your Town spin-off concert. If you were a kid in the 90s, then if you were like a Ninja Turtle fan, then you should remember this. I think I was probably around 7 years old when this come out. And like I remember how I knew about this. I think somehow I found out that the Ninja Turtles were gonna be on the Oprah show. I'm like, what? That's insane. Now I didn't watch the Oprah show. My mom did and stuff. But like I think at that time I saw the live action movie and like just like everybody else, the first one, I fell in love with that movie. It is still to this day the best Ninja Turtles movie ever. And they still to this day have the best costumes ever. The second ones were pretty cool too, like the second costume, but they had like a little bit more of a friendlier juvenile looking face because of the crap that the mothers like organization put them through and stuff. But like yeah, that first movie, man, that was something. Like that was just like oh my god moment, you know. And so like so I'm thinking to myself, oh cool, so those movie suits and stuff like that gonna be like on the show and stuff like that. And so like I made sure like I had like my I can't talk. My it's been a while since I've even said this term, VHS. I made sure I had my tape ready. I was ready to record it. Boy, like I'm telling you, I was like ready, right? And then so I see it. And I'm just kind of like, the suits have changed. And I didn't know really what was going on and everything and why they was dressed so differently and everything. Well, the reason behind all this is that, as you all know, Ninja Turtles exploded in the 80s with the cartoon series. Then the live action movie. Everybody was trying to capitalize at that time. And Pizza Hut, somebody who was partners with them in the first movie, they wanted a piece of the pie. Sometimes I feel like it might have been Domino's in the first movie, but anyway, Pizza Hut at some point in time wanted a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? And so they were thinking of no ways like, hey, how can we capitalize on this, right? Somebody came up with the idea of, hey, let's make the Ninja Turtles into a band and have them tour all around the U.S. and then later the world. And so this is how coming out of their shells all got started. And they literally came out their shells because they didn't even have the back shells. I'll get into that a little bit later. But basically, what it was is that the Ninja Turtles were on a mission that they wanted to promote peace instead of violence. One main reason is this is because of the Mothers Group, who said the first movie was way too violent and it wasn't as friendly as the 80s cartoon with the cussing, the smoking, the fighting, the death, all that stuff, the weapons. So they were looking to make Ninja Turtles more friendly because, of course, everybody just wants to make money at this time. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, because of this, the Ninja Turtles went on a mission to promote peace through music. They were going to put down their weapons and they was going to pick up a guitar and start strumming it and start singing it. And this is how all this came about. And, honestly, it's weird because I remember, like, okay, I saw them on Oprah, right? And when they was on the Oprah show, man, it was like the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, look, okay, I get it. They didn't have the money for the expensive suits, so they got these alternate suits. And the alternate suits, even though they are bizarre in certain places, they're not that bad. It was made out of a weird, squishy, rubbery foam looking material and stuff, so they can move around more. And they wore some interesting clothes, very reminiscent of the 80s, because we were just now getting into the 90s, because this came out in 1990. And so, like, after like watching it and everything, I heard them like singing and dancing, and I was feeling it. It was some catchy songs and everything, and I really give it up. And the people who were singing it, like the dude who sings the voice of Raphael singing it, he could really sing. Like I was really digging this stuff, and I just became like a huge fan because remember this was like my jam back in like the olden days, I was everything for Ninja Turtles and stuff, and so I was just watching the crap out of Oprah that day and rewatching it on the VHS and everything. And so like then after that, I was all like, man, this is kind of cool and everything. And then one day, me and my mom, we was in the store one night, the grocery store, and we're just walking around shopping for food. And then I saw it on the little rack. It was the music concert. I was like, oh. And so I had made her get it for me. Even though we was on the budget, I made her get it for me. And so that was so nice of her to do that. And so she gave me the VHS of it. However, what I soon realized when I watched it, it wasn't the actual concert. It was the actual making of the concert, which is very different. It's like a behind the scenes thing with the Ninja Turtles in completely different outfits. And then, there was like scenes where it was from the concert when they were singing and all this, but it was kind of like a real behind the scenes with the turtles pretending like they was real and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that was like really cool, but I was irritated every time like the human people would talk. I would like fast forward so I can get to like the Ninja Turtles talking about why they're doing this and how Splinter told them that put down their weapons and you can like help people out with music, and which is funny because you know what the comments about why he gave them weapons and stuff. And so like, but I didn't care. I was just like watching. But at some point in time, I think I recorded over it. But then I found it on YouTube. It's a little, old, scratchy, but hey, it's something, you know what I'm saying? And so because of that, that was the only version of this I've ever seen until last night and today. Last night, I finally watched the entire real concert. I'm gonna talk about that. It's not as rock and roll as I hoped. I mean, there are some good moments, but then there are some very cringe moments and stuff. And I will go into detail and stuff like that, especially the costumes. And so, like, as I was researching it this morning to like talk about it, I realized, oh wait, there was a spin-off second tour and everything called Get Down in Your Town. And I watched that today, and that's like 30 minutes, and that is on YouTube. The Get Down in Your Town is an abomination, and I will explain why a little bit later. But the actual Get Out of Your Shells concert is not that bad. Like, it's a little bit longer, like an hour and so, couple of minutes, maybe an hour and 30, probably something like that. I don't know. But the concert part was cool. But it's just once you get to all the dialogue and then the shred, oh Lord, the shredder, that's when it starts to get a little bit cringy. And and I was curious, and I found out some information here and there about like kind of what brought it to like an end and everything like that. So here's the rundown on the actual concert as though it's in like the real world. The Turtles, like I said before, are now singers and rock stars and everything, right? And when they perform on stage, they have two different outfits. They have their on stage outfits, and then they have their behind the scenes outfits. And I will break down those outfits a little bit later. And so basically, they're at their concert. They're doing their thing on stage, right? And so they're singing their songs. And like I'm telling you, man, these are some catchy songs. Like I really enjoyed them. Like Sing About It, performed by Raphael. I really like that. Piece of Power. Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. That was a great song sung by like the entire group. Then, what is it? Coming Out of Their Shells by Raphael. That was really cool. You Can Count on Us at the end. Boy, like when I was rewatching and re-listening to all these songs, man, I was still this last night just having my hands up in the air and like bopping my head. Like I was getting down, nigga. I was like reliving my childhood. I haven't heard these songs in like forever. Cowabunga's alright. Michelangelo raps in that. There are some good parts and there's just some kind of like it just goes on for way too long. Then there's Tubin. Tubin is really cool. God, who does that one? I think Tubin is probably the whole gang, probably, or Raphael, probably. But Michelangelo has some raps in that too, and it's weird. They have like alligators and hula skirts like dancing around. I remember seeing that. I'm just remember like thinking, who the heck are the alligators? Is it Leatherhead and his friends? But then they were always accompanied by like male backup dancers, which I did not like. I'm like, we don't need them because the turtles were getting down, man. They was dancing up in that thing because they had lighter suits and they can like move around, right? And so there was some other songs. Another one that's pretty good is April Ballard, I think it's called. That's really good. Skipping Stones by Splinter. First, he gives like a very powerful, inspirational speech, and then he starts singing about skipping stones. I didn't really particularly like that at all. There's another song that was not on the tour, but it's on the album because it came out on cassette tape. I don't know if I had the cassette tape or not, but it's one where I think it's Michelangelo. It's something about being who you are and striving to be that. Which, when I listened to it on YouTube and I read the comments, a lot of people surprisingly said that song changed their life. They didn't explain how, but multiple people said that song changed their life. And I'm curious to know how that was. Because, there have been some people on YouTube I've seen, like, I think, like, rag on, like, this concert and stuff like that. But when you watch the concert, and I will link the concert, the behind the scenes thing, the second concert, and the Oprah thing, when you see the look on these kids' faces, as they're like, watching the concert, as you see when April comes, 'cause April O'Neil's in this too. When you see her coming down, like, talk to the turtles, and soon as she's coming down in like the audience, tons of kids lost it and swarmed her and hugged her. Like, when you see that, and when you see these kids holding their Ninja Turtle toy as they're like singing, that's what this is all about. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what that was for. Yeah, it was cringy at some points and everything, and it was dopey at some point, but it was the experience that the kids have, and that's truly what all this is about. Why we have so many little kids shows and everything, and people dressed up in stuffed animal costumes and stuff like that. It's to make them happy and to make them smile, And I think that was all the songs that was on there. Now, after that, like I said, Splinter comes in and stuff like that. Then next thing you know, Shredder comes in. Lord Jesus have mercy. Shredder part went on for too long. Basically, it's him and white Baxter Stockman. Because Baxter Stockman is actually black, but he was white in the cartoon. And so they made him white for this. But he wasn't a fly, though. Probably would have scared the kids. And so basically, Shredder hates music. He raps about hating music. And he wants to get rid of music. And so Baxter Stockman came up with this strange device. And it's called it was the deharmonics convergence converter or some crap like that. Basically, it sucks up all the music. It's like it makes you stop singing. It's never really explained. Basically, this feels like a plot from like the 80s cartoon. The script is not very good at all. There's not a lot that explains it. And when he turns the device on, when the Ninja Turtles goes towards it, they pass out for whatever reason. At some point, he kidnapped April and stuff, and the Turtles and Splinter. You know, the turtles want to like rush in and everything, but Splinter's all like, you know, you have to like wait, be patient, blah blah blah. Shredder, he can throw down some shade, man. He was like he does like the comedic thing when he talks to the audience, and he told this one kid, "Oh, who's that next to you? Is that your sister? That your cousin? Oh, you couldn't get a real date." He called them imbeciles and everything. I swear to God. Oh boy. Now there is a scene that contradicts the entire concert. Because like, you know, Raphael's still a hothead and stuff, and especially on the Oprah show, but then like, you know, the Foot shows up, and the Foot costumes are pretty okay. Not the best, but you know, you can tell who they are and everything. And so, like, you see the turtles fight them, but in a very theatrical play kind of way, musical kind of way. They're just walking around, smacking them, throwing kicks. But because they can only see in one direction, they barely throw their hands up, they barely throw a kick, and they just like pass them all by. It's like they're walking around, just passing them all by, smacking them here and there. It's really weird. So then at some point in time, the Ninja Turtles, Donatello created these vests that they wear to like be able to block the signal of the Baxter Stockman device or whatever, right? And so at some point they rescue April and everything, and April singing her something like "You Can Count on Us" and everything. And you know, then the turtles show up and they just start like singing, and you know, then they're like, "Thank you, we love you, goodbye." So Michelangelo says that like a lot. And they have like little foam pizzas they throw at people and stuff, all from Pizza Hut. And you know, it was a long concert to go through. The whole Shredder stuff, because I'm a little vague on that. I just fast forward through all that because I couldn't, man. That suit, I couldn't. I just couldn't. And it's white Shredder, not even an Asian dude, and everything. But yeah. I have very fond memories of like, you know, the music thing. I did like I watched the behind the scenes thing like religiously and everything. And then so at some point in time he's talking to like the turtles on like a screen, and that's where we get like behind the scenes stuff. And then there's a guy I think named like Kip or something like that. He's like a reporter. And so like it's very comedic scene. Like it is very, very juvenile. Now one thing that blew me away was that in the original concert, because this was on pay-per-view and everything, right? The original concert, they brought in the voice of Leonardo and Splinter from the 80s cartoon series. I don't know who voices Raphael, but he sounds country. And Donatello barely says anything. And what is it? But their voices, here's the thing. The dude who voices Michelangelo, I have no idea who that is. This dude sounds just like any Michelangelo you probably ever heard in like the older like Ninja Turtle stuff. Whether it's Next Mutation, the movies, the old cartoon, he sounds like a Michelangelo. I'm surprised he never reprised his role and stuff. And so one thing I noticed is that I don't really know who the leader of the music group is, but it's either Raphael. Okay, I forgot where I left off at. Because I heard like a noise outside. I think I was talking about like Michelangelo, his voice, you know, like the voices and stuff. Like their voices change over time. The person who voices Michelangelo and Raphael, they pretty much stay consistent throughout the entire tour. But Donatello and Leonardo, their voices change over time. In fact, Leonardo's changed for the Oprah thing, then it changed for the behind the scenes thing again. Because, you know, the actor had to go back to voicing the cartoon. Also, the lady who does April, her name is something Renee Scott. She got replaced halfway through the tour by an unknown person. And so like she just kind of reminded me so much of April O'Neil, especially that curly hair, you know. And I remember like they all have musical instruments, and I'll get into that later too. And so like the tour, like I said before, the tour, like the singing is cool, what I'm saying? Some of the songs are not. Only a few, but the rest of the songs are like rock and roll, man. And the dance move, they was like getting down because their like, outfits was very lightweight. But it's just the goofiness and cringiness. Like if you was to watch this now, it would be kind of like, that's a little too much cringe for me. You know what I'm saying? And so when I said this blew up because they was on the Oprah show. And this is back, like I said, like in the 90s, like early 1990s. This tour lasted from 1990 to 1992. And then the other tour lasted for like 1992 and a little bit into 1993. And so like the kids in the audience, man, they was loving it. And whenever they do these interviews, the interviewer is supposed to interview them like they're real. Some of the interviewers kind of like go a little off script because they're just like being like jokey and stuff. But I really give it up to whoever voicing the Turtles because they was great. You know what I'm saying? Like they was prepped on how to like answer these questions to make it seem realistic. Whenever you heard them speak, it sounded totally realistic. Like they was on live with Regis and Kathy Lee, and they don't do like it's live. You know what I'm saying? And they don't do take after take. And so they really knew how to answer these questions and stuff, especially April. She was really good when she was like on Oprah show and stuff. And at one point she was getting interrupted. But she was like, I give her props, man. And I remember there was this one lady at the Oprah show. She was a mom and she was dressed in a Turtles mask they used to have back in those days. And she said her kids love Turtles so much she did everything she could to get those tickets and got them. She ate the cereal, she ate the pizza, she went to some place and stood in line. She walked backwards a couple of blocks down the sidewalk just to get those tickets. That's a devoted mother right there, man. I give her props. I don't know where that lady is now. Also, I've been wondering where like these kids that was in the audience. Like I wondered if they were like rewatched it and like, hey, that was me. You know what I'm saying? Man, I wanted so bad to be in the audience that day. And so like then they was on like Regis and Kathy Lee. And may Regis rest in peace. Ah, so sad. And so here the Turtles, their outfits are still the same, but their denim jackets are very different. Like I said before, it's just a basic denim jacket with no designs on it and stuff. And so then something I never knew was the second concert they did. Now, if you might be wondering what caused this to hit its demise. Low ticket sales and seats. Yes, after a while, because when you first watch these concerts and stuff, they was jam packed. But then after a while, the seats started to fade. People just weren't interested in no more because it was probably, with the live action movie coming out and everything and it being more serious and stuff, and some parents didn't like the violence, and then they see like, the children's cartoon and they're kind of like, well, why doesn't the voices match up and everything? And why are they dressed like this? And if they're so-called putting down their weapons and singing, then why are they putting them back up on like the cartoons and stuff like that? So people started to lose interest. And then they couldn't afford like a lot of the stuff. The backup dancers left. The machine that Baxter made, they couldn't take that on tour. So it was just like a little small computer terminal and everything. And it started to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to where, and also the costumes look completely different from the live action costumes and that of the cartoon. So after a while, it just started to meet its demise. Then it had that second tour. And that was no good. They even went around the world and it just finally had to come to an end. Especially all the voices kept changing. So kids aren't that stupid, you know what I'm saying? And with the second concert, it was just an abomination. Like that's all I can say. It was beyond cringe. It was very comedic. April is no longer there. The Foot Soldiers are no longer there. The Alligators are no longer there. The Foot Clan, Baxter Stockman. It's just the Turtles, Shredder, and Casey Jones now. Splinter is no longer there. And so, like, with this, the Turtles acted like they were mentally inept. They were constantly moving around and never stopped. They was gyrating, they was spinning around, they was dancing with their legs, they moving their arms around, they was wiggling. They would not stop, and they always acted very comedic, like they were just a bunch of idiots. And it's so cringe, it's hard to watch. The suits, for some bizarre reason, look either really old now or like kind of like a stale kind of look, or they're cheaper than before. But they're the same suits. But now they're playing with this different instruments and stuff. I'll get into those a little bit later. Actually, I'll get into those a little bit now. Remember, the instruments, when they're in a concert, they always look fake, right? Like toys or whatever. Really cheap, like kid toys. And so now the designs have changed once again, and there's no behind the scenes stuff. And then at some point, Casey comes in, and what's really weird is that Leonardo and Donatello talk a lot more this time. See, in the original concert, and also in like the interviews at the Oprah show and Regis and stuff, Donatello and Leonardo rarely talked. One reason is because Leonardo's voice changed and everything, and they didn't want to confuse the kids. As for Donatello, we don't know. Even Regis literally said, do these two like never talk? And then they just put their hands on their mouth like, and they never really talk. Oh, now I remember the part where I left off at the leader. I don't know if the leader is like Raphael or Michelangelo, because like Michelangelo and Raphael talk a lot and they're both the lead singers. And so some people have speculated that Raphael is the leader of the band, but some have speculated Michelangelo might be, or they're co-leaders and stuff. And so in the second tour, Leonardo is actually very, very rude and very, very mean, which is very shocking and surprising. He's supposed to be the calm leader type person. He takes now the role of Raphael being like a butthead and everything. And he's constantly wanting to, making fun of Michelangelo, telling him to stop acting stupid, wanting to fight and everything. And he's very hot-headed. Casey in this, he has a Brooklyn type accent, but he's a little bit smarter. Somehow he has found a way to contact Shredder. And Shredder is in kind of like a limbo state in a different dimension that Donatello put him there to suspend the animation. Basically, they really couldn't have him there a lot. So Donatello, for some bizarre reason, he eggs them on and makes fun of them and all this other crap. And Donatello's like, I'm going to bring you here so we can show you off. We can hit you. So he brings them from the other dimension over in the real world. And he's just doing what he always doing, making fun of people. Then he's all like, I'm putting you back in that dimension, man. So then he just puts them back in that dimension. It's like, that's it. Like, that's his evil goal. And then they sing again. Also, with this second tour, only one of their original songs from the first tour they sing in this one, but all the rest of the songs are original, brand new, and they all suck. There is not one good song in the second tour. And so with that, people just like, I'm out. I'm out. And then it quickly just died, And then, of course, when that happened, the Juggernaut entered, Power Rangers, in 1993. And it took the steam from every Ninja Turtle property there was, and Ninja Turtles quickly died off. And so, yeah, what killed the Ninja Turtles? Power Rangers. And so, like, when it comes to the behind the scenes stuff, now there's something in the second tour that always confused me, especially with the first one. If they're supposed to be non-violent now and put down their weapons, like every time they see Shredder, they want to like beat him up and they have to like restrain themselves. But in like the second tour, Casey Jones beats the crap out of Shredder. Casey freaking Jones. That don't make no sense right there. And then Donatello takes his bow staff and beats up on Shredder, which he's supposed to put his weapon down and pick up an instrument and start singing. So that completely contradicts what the message they wanted to send. Which, I mean, if you get into a fight with somebody, you don't want to sing them a lullaby. That's the one I'm most fond of. Like, the Ninja Turtles are the only time you see them in their concert uniforms or outfits is when they are showing video from the actual first concert. But then they do the behind the scenes stuff in their alternate behind the scenes outfits. And I like those a little bit more. Um, like I said, I'll get into the outfits a little bit later, but then the suits look slightly better and everything because they were made out of material similar to that of the live action movie. However, they always stood at a weird slant and everything, and their eyes always looked droopy and everything. And so, like, but their outfits were just way better, and also their concert outfits and the behind the scenes stuff. But then there are scenes where they're talking to like Splinter, and also when they're practicing with their instruments, when they're actually in their traditional Ninja Turtle like attire with the brown belts, the pads, and everything. I'm like, cool, man. And the suits weren't that bad. They weren't perfect, but they was a whole lot better than those weird other suits and everything. And so I guess it is time to get into the suits. So first, their concert suits are very weird and bizarre. Okay, first, they're all lightly green colored, like a pea green. And you can see their turtle spots very prominent, very dark, similar to that of the third movie. Oh, they're missing their shell in the back. That always freaks me out. Like when they said they're coming out of their shells, man, they wasn't kidding. Their shells are nowhere to be seen when they're wearing their denim jackets. And not only that, but they're wearing sneakers, but they have these weird normal human feet in the sneakers, which is really weird because their bodies are so large and their feet are so tiny. It's very disturbing. Their heads are super big and very elongated and stuff. It makes me wonder how are they able to see out of those things? Because a little trivia from the movies, in the first movie, they could see through like the mouth opening. That's when you can see Donatello's voice act, not voice, but stunt actor, his eyes and face and everything. That one like scene, you have to like pause like really good to see it when he's with April and they're at the barn and when in the bathroom. And so then in the second movie, to prevent this, they could not see at all, and they had to like move around by memory and everything. That is freaky. Weren't able to see at all, and they had to remember their moves and everything by memorization. So it makes me wonder how they was able to see through these and stuff. Now, their eye holes in their mask, their eyes look sunken in. They had these big round eyes. Their mouths are very elongated, open very wide, and they have tons of teeth. Their face is very similar to that of a lizard. Let's see, they wear these denim jackets and they have a design on the back of like the logo from like, a Michelangelo holding like the guitar up and stuff like that, their name on the back. And they also have the individual symbol on their like knee pads, elbow pads, and like their denim jacket. Their pads are the color, the individual color. They're also wearing a sweater wrapped around like their waist for some bizarre reason. They have these like ankle warmer type things in their traditional colors. And then they have like these stripes, like this X stripe that goes around their chest and their ankle area, their calf area, and it has like rhinestones on it. Their symbols are all different. Michelangelo has stars. Donatello has the yin yang symbol. Leonardo, I don't really know what it is. It looks like the Delta from Star Trek. And Raphael is an X, I believe. And so that's basically their, oh, and then the mask ties in the back and it's kind of like tiny and everything. And so I think that's, I don't have the picture with me. I'm like, not at my computer. I don't have my tablet. But I believe that's it. And then so their musical instruments. Michelangelo plays a 3-string guitar and his is like orange. Leonardo has a 1-string bass and it's black. Let's see, and it has a very unique design. Donatello plays like the keyboard, and it's like, you know, goes over like, you know, his neck with a strap, and it's very basic. Raphael has a couple of different things. He has a saxophone, he has the drums, and he has this rectangular thing that he hits. I don't know what it's called and stuff. But also I remember they did like a roof concert. I'll get into that a little bit later. And so that's based. Oh, they also had like a microphone attached to the top of their head. And so that's their concert outfits. Now their behind the scenes one that I like a lot. Their costumes changed, the green color of them changed, but everything's different. Okay, they still, oh, I forgot to mention, they also have like these belts that are like these big bands with their symbols on it. They still have that for the behind the scenes thing, right? But I think Michelangelo has like a a strap that goes around his chest, and it's in rhinestone. I think Leonardo might have one as well. Donatello and Raph don't. Donatello also has like these strings like on his pads. They have their regular pads are still on, but instead of the sneakers, now they're like boots that are like small boots that are the color of like, you know, whatever their regular color is, their identifier color, and their normal size turtle looking feet now instead of human feet. And like Michelangelo has like a star over his mask, and like Leonardo has that delta over his mask symbol, and they have like little rhinestones in like their mask. Now their mask is weird. Their eyes look droopy and squinty. Their mask looks like real fabric instead of like, here's the thing. What they did was similar to the live action movies. When you get the mask around the eye area, it's like harder looking, but here it just looks like regular fabric, and it's like longer dangling in the back. So that's why they always had this weird squinty look. And they always like slanted for whatever bizarre reason. I don't know why, but the instruments have changed and are a lot cooler. Leonardo's bass is in the symbol of his delta. Michelangelo's guitar is in the symbol of his star. Donatello's electric like keyboard, I don't know what the world shape that thing's in, but it's kind of like a triangle type shape. And I forget what Raphael plays. He might plays like the bongo to or drums or whatever. Although he has a saxophone and stuff like that. And I remember in these outfits, they did a live concert on a rooftop. And it was amazing. I love that concert. Everything was just cool with it. But for whatever reason, Raphael was now playing the guitar, and Leonardo was now playing drums for whatever reason. They never explained that. Also in the behind the scene thing, Leonardo and Donatello talk a lot more too. And you know, I really enjoyed that. When they was on Regis and like Kathy Lee, they just wore regular denim jackets, similar to their concert outfits. I think they might be wearing black gloves in this one, or maybe black gloves in the second tour. I can't remember which one. But in the second tour, they're just wearing their concert outfit, but they just look cheaper made and everything. And so Shredder. Shredder looks like a fool, plain and simple. His helmet is, okay, maybe the body outfit I can kind of get used to a little bit. It's a little cheesy, but I can get used to that. It's just the helmet. The helmet is terrible. It covers up his mouth. It's really big. And you see all of like his eye area and these huge horns sticking up. It's just weird and bizarre looking. And it's hard to take him seriously. Now, Splinter has a huge head, and they don't have much mouth movement or eye movement in the concert type stuff. Now, the behind the scenes stuff, they have more motor functions in like their helmet area and stuff. But yeah, Splinter, he's gray in this, which is bizarre because we've never seen a gray Splinter except for in the comics and that of the 2003 series. But in the flashback, you see him with his purple robe and a brown hand, or brown fur, I should say. Interestingly enough, NECA has recreated this and everything. They put it in a 4-pack. I really wish they didn't, because I don't want all four for like $100 something. I just want like one or two at the most. And so like, but they're small, not the big NECA one, but the small like 7-inch stuff. Now they're a hybrid. They're a hybrid of the concert and behind the scenes. And so for the most part, they're identical to the concert thing. Very identical. Even the creepy mouths, the creepy eyes, like you name it, right? Now the back of the denim jacket is completely different. It has a new logo on the back. And so like it looks identical to that of the concert, like, you know, outfits. And I think the instruments they use are the behind the scenes one and stuff. Now this is what's interesting. You can actually morph it into the behind the scenes. Take the denim jacket off and they still have their white sneakers as opposed to their boots. You know, because you can't change those out. They should have had interchangeable feet. That's what they really should have had. And so like the slash, you know, they're still the same like X pattern. So like, you know, Michelangelo and Leo don't have their Pacific slash, but they do have their eyepiece that you can attach to their eye and everything. So that's neat. It's not a perfect behind the scenes look, but it's a nice hybrid and stuff. So this is like forgotten, like history, forgotten memories. You know, a lot of people have forgotten this and everything. And you know, it's weird because it's not that terrible, but it's not that great at the same time. It's like in between, but it does bring back fond memories, especially when I'm listening to the music and stuff. It was really good and it was really catchy. It's too bad they didn't come out with no better songs for the second tour, and it is quite a shame that, you know, it ended and stuff. But you know, I get why it did. When you keep going down that cheaper route and you keep confusing the fans, what are you gonna expect? You know what I'm saying? Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.